And then man said, turn it on to mono because them keep phasing across the headphone when we listen to it. Yep, oh god, no, oh fucking hell. Hi, hang on. We are having some dramas here. You're listening to, get off! You're listening to Dangerfield Sunday Prescription, a light-hearted monosation about what's been happening in the world, the universe, and my girlfriend's bowels, because she brought the squits back from Cambodia. Man said she filling that pan up with them gravy night and day, woman. And she's in the room with me. She's not too happy about me breaking the news that them woman did that gravy down the pan, man, be pebble dash me bathroom floor. So as you can tell, I'm not well. I'm still suffering horrific jet lag, and 30 Valium on the flight home has certainly taken its toll on my consciousness, my sanity, and my Valium stash, of course. But $2 for 40 in Cambodia means that's not going to be a problem this century. So yeah, I went to Cambodia. I met a rapper the other day. I've just got to get this in before we get into the guts of the Cambodian adventure. So I met a rapper, and it's embarrassing meeting rappers, because if they are rappers, they don't say that. They just say, yeah, I'm a musician, or they're Tricky, and I met Tricky, and he didn't say, hi, I'm a rapper. He just was cool because he was Tricky. But when I met my friend's 18-year-old cousin, and he introduced himself as a rapper, I knew that he was going to be a prat immediately. He said too much about himself, and certainly was focusing on the wrong part of himself. And at one point, my friend, whose cousin he was, cousin of rapper, said, do some rapping. And again, let's assume you said that to Tricky. He's going to say, no, I'm not. Well, he's not. He's going to go, no, I'm not. No, I'm not rapping. That's how Tricky talks. Whereas this lad went, okay, and he was Welsh, and he suddenly just went for it, and he was going, I'm a rapper, that's what I do. I don't go to school because I'm stuck on the loo. You see, I've gone back to the girlfriend squits. A recurring theme. There's a lot more squits chat in this. Cambodia was essentially a squit dodging adventure. But sorry I didn't get any podcasts done. How sorry? About none out of 10. I did promise them, but when I got there, I thought hanging around in paradise was preferable to talking shit into a microphone in a hotel room, so I didn't do any. What I did do though, this is good, while I was out there, now you got to imagine it, we went to Sihanoukville, which is named after King Sihanouk, who actually turned out was king twice for periods of about 10 years. Through the Vietnam rule, he was the puppet king. After the Khmer Rouge, when I was there, it was like the Khmer Rude. We can play on words. Have you seen The Killing Fields? Well, you're listening to oh shit, I fucked it up. Told you, my head's not here. You're listening to oh fuck. Right. Let's go. You're listening to The Killing Dangerfields, and we got there in the end, and I think you'll agree it was certainly worth it. So yeah, we went to Sihanoukville, and it was amazing. We went to Phnom Penh, and we stayed in the old American Embassy, which is this huge white building, and it was fucking lovely. If you go to Phnom Penh, it's got a silent at the beginning, so it's Phnom Penh. You don't need that though, just a I've done it again. Right, it's okay? So if you ring up the travel agent and say, I need a flight to you'll certainly end up in So we arrived in and oh man, sorry, the girlfriend's laughing, and when she laughs, I feel that she may shit the bed because of the squits. There's a story there too. My head's not working. Calm. Moment of calm. We've done this before on the podcast. I need you to do it too. Let's just take a breath. Let's breathe in. And let's breathe out. Let's breathe in. And let's breathe out. Okay. So we went to and then we got we stayed in this beautiful hotel. Like I say, it's called the White Embassy. There's no Pakistani people there. Did you see what I'd done? Quick to add, Ustani onto the end of Paki there, because people don't like it. They don't like it. They take offence. We've dealt with taking offence, so I'm not going over that again. I ain't giving it to you. So go to the White Embassy and you'll have a lovely time. So we stayed there for a night, and it was lovely. When you arrived, they gave you a cooling, ice-cold towel to put over your face, and a lovely fresh watermelon juice, and there was like 1,000 of these Khmer people running around like ants around you, taking your bags off you and touching your legs and all sorts of weird things. And then we went to our room, and it was gorgeous, and there was like a spinning fan at the top, and I was like, Saigon, shit. All this time and I'm still only in Saigon. It was, it was on the Mekong. It's on the Mekong actually, but it's certainly not Saigon. But it did give me that childhood dream of being in Apocalypse Now that I required as I laid flat down on the bed. So I definitely rate that hotel. I actually went on TripAdvisor and said to them, it was so good, I mean, for the money, you couldn't have asked for more, what a lovely time. And TripAdvisor is sending me a free gift, so I can't wait to get that bit of shister from Alibaba through my post, which will be a bit of cack, so I'll get back to you on that, my TripAdvisor free gift. I'd like to know if there's Gift Advisor on the internet where people can write reviews of the shit gifts that TripAdvisor give them. I'll look into that later and get back to you for sure. So yeah, so what I'm trying to say is I didn't get a podcast done while I was out there, but we did go to Sihanoukville. We got like a taxi down from Phnom Penh. Takes about 3 hours, and it's like, did you do those things as a kid where you go into the co-op or like a department store and you go on a sleigh ride to Santa? We had one in the co-op, and you went in there and the sides moved, and there was like a side, like a roll of landscape going past, and you weren't moving, and even though you were 5 years old, you knew you weren't moving. No one was conned, but you felt like you were getting a bit of attention, so it was a pleasure. And then after about 2-3 minutes of the sides moving and ooh, where are we going, you'd then go and sit on a paedophile dressed up as Fat Satan, calling himself Father Christmas, and he'd go, what do you want, son? And you'll go, dunno, but Mum and Dad can't afford to feed me, so I know I ain't getting a bike. It was a bit like that, because when we got in the taxi, it was really bustly, kind of heavy going, 40 degrees Phnom Penh, and as it went down this road to joy and to paradise and to pleasure, because when it arrived at Sihanoukville, there was fruit markets and you could smell the salt in the air. And when we got to our hotel there, and it had this gorgeous swimming pool, and it was all lit up with lovely, well considered and thought out lights, and there was huge palm trees and flora and fauna I didn't know existed, and it was just incredible. And our room was beautiful, with a suite down the bottom with a sofa and a giant television and a little kitchen area and a huge wet room. And then you'd go up this sort of open plan staircase to a lovely, beautiful bed, and it was just like, fuck man, this is the most amazing holiday. And it was. And then when we went to the beach on the first day, there's 5 or 6 beaches in Sihanoukville, and most of them are a little bit cack. They're already doing that patong thing of, the kind of Phuket fuck the whole place up kind of deal. But Otres Beach, and I promised myself I wouldn't say it because it's kind of not known about. It's a little bit off the beaten track. It's fucking paradise. It's miles and miles of dusty white sand that's too hot to walk on. You need your sandals. It's perfectly clear, bath hot water. And honestly, the first time we went in there, me and the missus, we said, oh, let's go in the sea, and it would be like, oh, it might be a bit chilly. And we stepped in it and we were shocked. I mean, I've been around the world. I've done plenty of Thailand. I've done Venezuela. I've done Spain. I've been to like so-called hot countries, but never in my life have I put my foot into the seawater and it been hot. Fucking hot. Hot. It was hot. Hot, man. Good morning, Sihanoukville. It is hot. It was hot. And that was incredible, and we just loved it there. And we were buying like pina coladas and things like that, and lovely tom yums, and eating on the beach. And most days we just got to the beach around 11 o'clock, spent a bit of time in the sea, in and out of the sea all day really. And then as the sun started going down around 5, we'd have a little siesta as the sun went down, and you'd wake up to this amazing kaleidoscopic orangey purple sunset. It was just incredible. So that's essentially the story of the holiday. We went to a beautiful place and it was beautiful. The details, however, are slightly different because menace follows me around. Let me give you an example. Now, to protect the guilty, I'm going to encode this story slightly. Let's assume that if I don't eat bananas every day, I'll get very, very sick. And let's assume bananas are quite hard to get hold of. Illegal almost. Illegal definitely. Places where they'll hang you from the street lamps by your hair if you get caught with bananas on you. So I thought what I'll do before I go to Camp N is I will swallow a few bananas. Okay? I will ingest a few bananas, storing them in my GI tract, and then when I get to Phnom Penh, I will release the bananas from my anal sphincter, thus allowing me to have access to the aforementioned bananas, and the holiday will go along without me getting very sick. So I done that, and then when I got there, they chose not to leave my body. And that continued. Now, luckily, I have a man out there who loves his bananas. Oh, he loves his bananas. And he was quite happy to give me plenty of the best bananas I've ever had. Number 4 bananas from Burma, in fact. And that was all good. But I was still waiting for the bananas I'd eaten to make themselves visible. And they didn't. And they still haven't. And so what essentially happened was I smuggled bananas out of England into Kuala Lumpur, where they'll kill you for bananas, out of Kuala Lumpur into Cambodia, where they'll chop your hands off for bananas, then back out of Cambodia, back into Kuala Lumpur, back out of Kuala Lumpur, and back into England. So that was a pain in the arse, almost literally. And so that was like a little dark cloud lurking in the background of the entire holiday. Now, on top of that was Delhi Belly. I've never had it before. I've never ever had any kind of stomach issues when I've been on holiday. And I think it was some prawns I ate, but shit, man. I was squeezing gravy. I was piddling water from my willy bum. I was really squitting, man, and it was really bad. And I've got to admit to you that I did a big yellow puddle in the bed. Now, why would I tell you that I'd done a big yellow... That'll be all the fucking bananas in my stomach. But why did I admit to you that I'd done a big yellow puddle in the bed? Let me just clarify, let me be a little bit more specific. It wasn't 3-dimensional, okay? It wasn't a yellow puddle that was like a centimetre deep. It was a stain, which is almost 2D. That's like a painting. It was a watercolour. I'd done a yellow watercolour of the Cambodian sun in the bed. But there's a reason I'm telling you about that, because if I didn't admit that I'd done a yellow water arse portrait of the sun in the bed, I wouldn't be able to tell you that my girlfriend then kissed it. She didn't just kiss it. It wasn't a French kiss. She didn't French kiss my arse son. She admitted to me afterwards that as I dashed out of bed, more rapid than ever before, she assumed something may have happened, pulled back the cover to reveal my beautiful fart work. So I'm loving this shit. She pulled back the cover and saw this big round stain of shit, and she wasn't sure whether it was shit. It might have been a can of Fanta, let's say, from the night before. So she went forward to smell it, which is still to this day the best way of checking if something's poo, isn't it? Let's be honest. If you think you've trodden in poo, you don't look, you don't hear, you don't taste, you sniff. So we've all done it. But as she leant forward to sniff it, she kind of over-rocked and slipped off her leg and ended up full face lip kissing my big white yellow circle of shit. So that's why I told you I shit the bed, so I could then tell you that she kissed it. Now, another I'm not going to go on about the holiday too much. I'm sure I'll refer to it in and out, but in and out, Jesus. But another interesting thing that happened while I was there, someone from ITV got hold of me, and they wanted me to do an interview for this crappy TV show they're making, and I'll do that kind of stuff simply to get my face and name out there. It's a horrible truth of the career I have, but you need to be seen, and you know, the more you're seen, the more you can do gigs, and that's what I love. I love stand-up, I like my podcast. People see your face on telly. That's why I done that embarrassing BBC Three thing with that ridiculous girl. She's actually all right, but she wasn't really suited to that job. Tell me about prostitution. Some people think it's bad. What do you think? Oh, really? What am I meant to say to that? Quite interesting, actually. It's not. That's another story. But that's why I done that. That's why I done the Rupert Everett one, which was good, because Rupert is actually an intelligent and interesting man, and I enjoyed that one. But the problem is, when ITN contacted me and said we'd like to do this, I thought, well, let's get it done. Let's get it out of the way, because I don't like things like that on the horizon, because I forget about them. That's ironic when you hear the story. Now, I said, all right then, and we arranged to do it Tuesday afternoon, after the Monday that I got back. And I got back just Monday, just gone. So I get back Monday, and like I say, I overindulged on the benzos on the plane, and that on top of the jet lag, on top of the ridiculous change of circumstance. I think that's what jet lag really is. I'm not so sure that the time difference is so weird. I mean, there's only 6 hours between the two countries, and I slept. Did I fucking sleep? I comatose the flight over. It's the old Valium time travel, innit? You get to Phnom Penh, you start on the Xanax, you have a chaser of Valium, and you shut your eyes for 10 minutes and wake up in London. So I'm not convinced jet lag is anything else but that almost aggressive and violent change of circumstance, where you were on the beach doing nothing, and suddenly you're back home paying bills and polishing your shoes and doing all those day-to-day things. So I'm just sort of getting on with that, and I realise I'm a bit hazy, and I don't really know, I can't string a sentence together. I mean, you can tell I'm still a little bit kind of bouncing around mentally from this podcast, but imagine that 4 days ago. So I wake up Tuesday, girlfriend's gone to work, and then she's like, oh, what time's your interview? And I'm like, oh, fuck. And I realise I've got to do the interview, so I put on some clothes, and I'm sort of almost late. And I get there. Now I get there, and I'm out of breath, and I'm sweating slightly, and I've been untimely ripped from my bed and my natural habitat, and suddenly I'm in front of cameras and interviewers and reflectors, and in the middle of Soho, and I don't really know what's happening, and they're bombarding me with questions, and they were... It's weird, because when I was answering, you commit to an answer, but then I get this sort of weird tunnel vision. I get it anyway in interviews, but because of the jet lag, because of the benzos, because of all the stuff I just said, suddenly I get this mad tunnel vision, not a visual tunnel vision, but like a conceptual tunnel vision, where my thought process is my ability to think and to keep a sentence going from start to end kind of fails me. So as I start talking, I'll be sort of like, I mean, they were talking about celebrities and how they have to pretend, how they're role models and they can't lose their rag and all that nonsense. And I'd sort of say, well, you know, I think it's important for them because they're a brand, aren't they? They've got to try and keep up their brand. They're a product, and that's what they do. And it was like that. I was talking rubbish and almost making questions of it. And then what would happen that made it really bad is occasionally I'd say something that was all right, that was usable, but a van or something would go past, and so after I'd said it and thought, wicked, I got away with one, that's usable, that will show me in a light that's kind of all right. Afterwards they'd say, that was great, Chris, and they're not the nicest people, TV makers, you can imagine. They're proper like, yeah, no, really nice, that was great, we really like that, you know, I mean, that shows both sides of the fucking... They're a bit like that. And but then they'd say, that was really nice, Chris, but a vehicle went past, so can you say it again? Now the problem with doing it again, when I was talking the first time, I was speaking. I was saying what I thought, yeah? When you're asked to say it again, Now you're acting. And there's a huge difference between acting and saying what you think. So you're not, I am now trying to say what I said before with the same improvised embellishments that now they've lost their improvised edge, sound like cack, and even my facial expressions. I'm now doing an impression of myself, which almost by definition is an exaggeration of myself, which then becomes a caricature of myself, which then makes me look like a prat. So they were filming for about an hour, and I think they got about 59 minutes and 58 seconds of me being a prat. So that'll be on telly. I think it's the 29th of June, ITV, Friday night. I'm sure I'll let you know nearer the time, but watch it just to see me being a prat, and you'll see. You'll, my podcast people, will have the added knowledge of why I'm there with eyes like pistols in the snow and a tan that is kind of like a weak tea stain over an otherwise translucent zombie. Oh, to be young and in love in Paris in the spring with my love in the summertime. Something about the art of noise that was there as by way of a bridge to the next part. Now, let me tell you something exciting that happened with the Cambodian military police. Right. Yes, you're right. Maybe a good time to hit the pause button and make yourself a tea or an Ovaltine or whatever it is you like and come back. Ready? So pause. And you're back. Right. In the hotel, we borrowed the hotel scooter. You got to get a scooter when you go to Southeast Asia. It's like getting a candy floss when you go to Margate. It just is part of the deal. So we got this nice scooter, nice one as well, like a little 125. I've got no license, not necessary out there. And Mario, one of the Filipino staff at the hotel, so lovely. I have to say, the deluxe boutique hotel in Sinukville, stay there. It's fucking brilliant. It's about bullseye a night, and it's just 5-star hotel with everything you could want, and the people are amazing. That's all you need to know. But Mario was brilliant, and when I'll tell you who he reminded me of, you know the midget on The Man with the Golden Gun? Hey, Mr. Pan. I'm not an impersonator, but you know what I mean, with the little what's it called? The little hat and the suit, the tux. Hey, Mr. Pan, he was my content. That bloke, he was a bit like him. He'd sort of go, he called me Mr. Chris. I go, hello, good morning, Mr. Chris. And I say, hello, Mario. Swidey swy. I don't know how you say. Look at that, I was in Cambodia. I've been to Cambodia twice. I've just done 2 weeks. Don't know how to say hello. It's something like Swidey say. My girlfriend has just suggested Swidey ma. Now she said Swadi Dima. I think it might be Swadi ma. Anyway, we don't know how to say hello or thank you. Do we know how to say thank you? Argon! We do know! We did learn! Argon? Yes, so at least we learned how to say fucking thank you. And I'll tell you what, you say that out there loads, because they're fucking lovely people. Argon. Thank you, Argon. So that's good. So anyway, Mario, I'll be like, Mr. Chris. And when I hired the scooter, just as we were leaving, he went, hey, Mr. Chris. He went, let me tell you something. I went, okay, Mario, tell me something. And he went, okay, if the policeman stop you, and I'm like, eh? And if the policeman stop you, you'll say you've already paid. Already paid what? He went, no, you just say you already paid, but you say it with little bit angry. And I went, eh? What? I say I've already paid, but a little bit angry. He went, that's right, Mr. Chris. It's a big scam in Cambodia, so just say you already paid, a little bit angry. And I thought, yeah, that's all right, I'll just avoid them. So, and we did. We shot around on the scooter. Oh, as a sub-story, of course. The mosquitoes leave me alone, whereas my girlfriend got 136 bites, and we had to go to hospital because she had an allergic reaction to them. She was like, I've got dengue fever, I've got malaria, look, I've got yellow fever. Well, you certainly have got yellow skin, darling, but and we shot up, we had to go to the hospital. But amazing, when we got to the hospital, it was like a bomb site. I shit thee nay. It was rubble all over the floor, hardcore all over the floor, bits of wood. There was like fluorescent lamps hanging down off of the wires, sort of flickering. There was a fire in the plug extension box while I was there. It was just a bomb site, and in the middle of the bomb site, a pharmacy. I swear, there was no walls to the pharmacy. It was just in the middle of this rubble with like assistants in like white coats and drawers full of drugs and medications. And this was just in the middle of this sort of mess. It looked like there'd been a bomb, and they decided to set up an emergency pharmacy. You know what? The fuck? Now I say that's probably what happened. I would not be surprised if that's what happened. But we turned up there one night on the scooter, and you know, we've both got off it, and we've gone up to this sort of reception, which is just a glass cabinet amongst the rubble, and said we need a doctor. And as soon as we said that, this bloke that was just sitting down kicking bits of rock around on the floor stood up. This other man who was sitting on a scooter stood up, and the woman who was standing behind the jump at the pharmacy came round, and the three of them went, "Come with me." And we followed them up this stairs. Suddenly we were into what looked like a more normal hospital, you know, the smell of disinfectant and bright white walls. And we go into this little office that was like a colonial kind of tax office. A really weird sort of low ceiling, sort of simple desk jobby. And then the three people that followed us, the man sat behind the desk, he was the doctor. The bloke that was sitting on the bike just was like the porter, and the woman just sort of stood there she tried to take my girlfriend's blood pressure, and the doctor just flicked her away. Get off her, he went. She doesn't need that taken. But amazing service. We had to buy some prescription medication off of him. It was like $20, but you'd think, wouldn't you? You'd think third world country. I think Cambodia is the third or fourth poorest country in the world. You'd think it would be really hard to see someone, or you'd be waiting ages, or it would be really expensive. I tell you now, we arrived there without an appointment. We said we needed to see a doctor. We walked up some stairs and we saw a doctor. He checked her over, he diagnosed her, we got our drugs, we paid $20, all done. Amazing. Now I know we've got millions of people in England, but when we come here with all the billions of pounds in our National Health Service, where the fuck is that money going? Because it's not going to the patient. Why I'm sitting around here for 3 hours to have a locum come up to me and go, or triage come up to me and go, "Oh yeah, you got to see the doctor." I'm like, yeah, I know that, that's why I'm here. Now I sit down again for another 3 hours, then the doctor will come 6 hours later, doctor sees you. "Oh yeah, you need to see a specialist, come back in 6 hours." All that bullshit. Cambodia, walk in, sweet, done. Get back on your scooter and go back into the horizon of your holiday. That was amazing, and fair play to the Cambodian Health Service. However, that's being funded on the back of smack. So we're driving around on a scooter. Now, one day we go to this market, and it's an indoor market. Now, there's no air conditioning in there. There's no fans. It's the size of the Emirates Stadium, but the ceiling's 4 foot off the ground. And they're cooking, and there's fruit, and there's heat, and there's hustle and bustle, and there's one-legged people trying to take money off you, and they don't hold back. They're like just pouring you like they got leprosy. Like with their teeth falling out in front of you, and like I gave them a cake or something, and they sort of look at you with this eternal sadness. What you've got to remember about Cambodia, if you don't know, was when Pol Pot and the Purges and the Khmer Rouge were there, pretty much everyone lost a member of their family, if not more than one. So anyone there over 35, 40 knows about murder, knows about death, knows about government, knows about genocide, knows about fear and loss, and it's written in their faces. Anyone there over the age of 50 who was like a young person during the Khmer Rouge's reign, they know hell on earth, and you cannot take that away from them. So when someone over there comes up to you with one leg and half their face missing, you don't... they've seen a world that you cannot even imagine. So fuck it, man. I had no problems. Yeah, I got a cake in my hand. Do you want it? No problem. That, I'm not trying to make out I'm fucking Saint Dangerfield of Khmer, but it's very strange in a country that has known so much suffering. You cannot escape the fact that is etched into the consciousness of that land, and when that consciousness is presented to you, you respond. I think you come to a place where you don't know what humanity is. You know, there's a lack of understanding that I've never really known anywhere else. You know, I've been to some pretty bad places, but I think Cambodia has had the worst history of anywhere I've been, and that was made apparent many times. Like when I saw all the shanties that were on the way to the beach, you know, there's houses made out of like little corrugated metal sheets and beer adverts sort of pinned together, and like sort of wooden pallets a couple of feet off the ground, and like dirty old rugs and milk crates and beer crates for seats, and you suddenly realise this isn't people who live near the beach. This is how most Cambodians live outside of the city. They live in shanties. They're an exceptionally poor people. It was kind of weird because I haven't had that in Thailand, for instance. When I've gone away from the coast in Thailand, it was weirdly similar to places in England. I mean, I've been to Thai housing estates, kind of strange, but you know, the shanties in Cambodia, the little communes, they look very much like old gypsy communities of Europe. Fucking weird, man, and strangely beautiful without fetishizing what is essentially poverty and a mass, neglect, essentially. Fuck me, where have I gone with that? Oh, yeah. So, we're driving around, and we've gone to the fruit market, this indoor market, and it's amazing in there, and the missus is trying to buy some food, and she's standing in between these two hot plates, and the sweat is pissing off her. I can barely stand up for sweating. There's people tugging at my clothes, like a couple of cockerels walk past, a dinosaur makes its way up the main drag. It's fucking hotter than you've known, and all the smells, and it's all whirring around, and I was like I've got to get out of here, so we fucked off the cooked food. We bought some mangosteen. Man, if you haven't had mangosteen, it's the devil's spunk in a little purple ball. Alright, so try that. Really, really amazing. I also had jackfruit out there for the first time, which was just like sort of stringy, fruity pasta. I won't be returning to that. But mangosteen, we ate about another 50 until my girlfriend found a maggot in one, and then she found a maggot in a lychee as well. And so probably where the squits have come from will be the nest of maggots now currently inhabiting her GI tract. So anyway, we've come out of the... sorry?
I didn't eat half of one.
You ate half of one?
Of a maggot.
Apparently she only ate half of a maggot, so it's not that. Not that I was joking. Eat your bloody trifle, woman. I'm working. Okay, sorry. Don't worry. She's only a little girl. And back to me, the man of the house. Okay. So, we get out of this market and we get on the scooter, and I am so hot, I go, I'm going to take my top off. Now, I've got this ridiculous crash helmet that had like a double visor that made me look like the Fly. So I got that on, and I got my t-shirt under it. Do you know what I mean? So I've put my t-shirt over my sweaty head, and then I've pulled the hat over my t-shirt. So I think I look like someone from Mad Max. I think I'm like Roads of Fury. Do you know what I mean? Yeah! On this little scooter. I actually more look like an Arab on acid. But my girlfriend's on the back. I've got the t-shirt on my head. I've got the hat over my head. I've got loads of ridiculous tattoos that say things like I'm a prat. And I'm zooming away on the drive to the beach. And of course, inevitably, the old Bill. Military police carrying fucking automatic weapons. Not just handguns either. They weren't Eckler and Koch, those German-made fucking SAS snub assault rifles. But the Asian version, some kind of weapon that will cut you in half, and they'll give you a band-aid. So they pull me over because I look like a prat. Now, police are much the same everywhere. He starts pinching my arm on a tattoo, like pinching it, and men will know what's going on there. There's a belittling, there's a humiliating, those couple of little pinches on the outside of my left tricep said so much. He was pinching me like you might pinch a puppy when you're a child. It was literally, you're shit. You're shit. Look how much power I've got. I can annoy you like your brother may have once done. But when your brother done it, you're going to give him a slap or throw your spaghetti oops over him. But you can't do anything now. even look at me in the wrong way and I'm going to arrest you. And you know about Cambodian prisons. You don't want to be going there, do you? So a couple more pinches, then a couple of little slaps. But little, like, almost uppercut slaps on my tricep. And he just went, in Cambodia, you don't wear nothing. A couple more slaps, couple more pinches, and he was a little fat fucker as well. I'm not a fighter, but I would have dropped him easy, you know, and you can tell that years of him being picked on at school had got him in that uniform, and they're all cunts, they're all corrupt. One thing I know about Southeast Asia, the organised crime and the police are one and the same. They don't have organised crime and corrupt police. The police are organised crime. I've witnessed myself the police forcing Thai prostitutes to sell methamphetamine, with weaponry. And it's a horrible thing. And when he's slapping me and doing all this, I know I've just got to stop. And I'm just smiling at him. And my girlfriend's doing it as well. We're not smiling cheeky like you would an English cop, or as if to go, you can't do fuck all. But just trying to remain as neutral as possible. Don't want to look scared. Don't want to look angry. Don't want to look arrogant. Just sort of happy. Hi, I'm happy for you to just slap my arm, you horrible cunt. And then he went, you need to pay. And I thought, right, and all I could remember as I shut my eyes was Mario's little voice. Mr. Chris, you must say you're already paid, little bit angry. Now, little bit angry when you're dealing with a military police officer in Cambodia with an automatic weapon and 4 stormtroopers standing behind him is kind of subjective, isn't it? How angry is a little bit angry? Do I go, fuck you off, I'm fucking paid, you cunt! or do I go, I'm sorry, officer, it appears you've made a mistake because I've already made a payment this morning to a rather fine officer, much like yourself, just down the road. So I don't really know. So what I do is I decide to give him both. Yeah? I decide to give him the expression of quite a lot of anger, but the voice a very polite, almost confused tourist. So I sort of dig my brow down, my glabella, which is the bit in between your eyebrows if you don't know your glabella. I push that down, I sort of expose my top teeth, taking care to conceal the gold ones, lest he might pull them out to pay for a new pair of mirror Ray-Bans. And then I go, but I already paid. This morning I gave a bloke $100 on the roundabout. It's bullshit. And I can feel my girlfriend's legs tense around me on the back of the bike as if to say, what are you doing? And he goes, you already paid? And I then realise I've done it. I've styled it. I know then, because he doesn't say, no, you got to pay. He's actually a bit sort of upset. He's not even annoyed. He either thinks, bollocks, you know the scam. Bollocks, you ain't stupid, or you've paid. And he's not willing to take it to the next level. So he says, alright, where's your licence? And also Mario told me this, and I just remember Mario at the hotel said, if they ask for your licence, Mr. Chris, just tell them your licence is at the hotel. They're too lazy, they never come. And so I said, my licence is at the hotel. Would you like to go and get it? It's at the Deluxe Boutique. My licence and my passport. You can look at it if you want. And he just went, put your shirt on and go. But he didn't talk like an Italian man at all. Hey, gringo. An Italian. He didn't talk like a Mexicano. He was not Mexicano, but he did look a little bit Mexicano, which is why I made that mistake. So that was weirdly all the law that I dealt with out there, I think, which is weird when you got a belly full of illicit banana. Okay, so I think it's time for the questions. Let's go. Ollie Raisin asks, how do I make myself more lovable? Well, to be honest with you, Ollie, with that lovely little beard of yours, which looks like chewing tobacco. You remember? No, not chewing tobacco. Remember sweet tobacco? You'd get it from the ice cream van in the 60s when you were about 12 years old. It's very hard to be more lovable. You're a lovely bloke. You've got a nice little belly on you. You've got a lovely smile, and you are inept socially. So just stick with what you're doing. You get all your girlfriends from Plenty of Fish, and I think you're going to be fine. No worries. Andrew Thomas, the little bald Welsh bastard who comes to see my shows in Swansea, and who I bumped into at the Arsenal once when Arsenal beat Swansea at the Emirates. It's going back a while. Hi, Andrew. It's lovely to see you contributing to something in the civilised world. He asks, who scored Swans winner? No apostrophe, no punctuation, typical Welsh. It looks like, it's on Facebook, these questions, but it looks like he's etched it in slate. Yeah. Anyway, what's he say? Who scored Swans winner twice against? Do you know what I mean? Does this even bear answering? I'm going to translate it for you because it's in broken English from a illiterate Welsh. It used to be a coal miner or some shit, slate miner. Anyway, what he's trying to say is who scored twice against Arsenal this year, and it was Gomis or yes, well done, Andrew. Swansea, you know, you're nearly in the Europa League. Well done. Have you seen where we are? Have you got Champions League football? Do you know what the Champions League is? And bear in mind, Andrew Thomas, it was my birthday when I was in Cambodia. Oh yeah, and when I opened a card from my missus, this is what happened. And it made me jump out of my seat, and that's especially for you, Andrew. I look forward to seeing you soon. Mark Tibbenham says, I would like to know if you can eliminate world poverty without pissing a lot of well-paid, heavily armed people. Quite simply, Mark Tibbenham, no, you can't. You've got your Rockefellers, you've got the Rothschilds, you've got those 7 or 8 families that have ruled the world for a long time. They are essentially a few families who have conned working people into putting together a military force to shoot each other, to keep them fucking each other and rich. You won't do it. It's going to take society won't survive a transformation. It needs annihilation. It needs to be built from the bottom up again. So enjoy the orgy, because that's all that's left. Matt Griff asks, who would win in a scrap between Paul Lister and Flamini? Well, it's Flamini every time. Don't know why, just prefer him. Ryan Allen says, if you could have any animal speak English, what would it be? Well, Piers Morgan. Ha ha, there you go, a normal joke there. You never know, I may well end up on a panel show. I hope not. Julian Firth says, just who exactly is Chris Dangerfield? What does he mean? What are we really talking about when we talk about Chris Dangerfield? Well, Julian Firth, I feel that is an intentionally provocative question because, as you know, we are not human beings, we are human becomings. Yeah. Chris Dangerfield as an entity does not exist. As a concept, it might in a limited frame if we were to delimit what we would call a Chris Dangerfield at any given time, but as a mythical fiction, that's all we can really that's all we can really be, actually. A mythical fiction that moves through time, ever changing and attempting to go against the Buddhist eternal wheel. I think you knew that anyway. Ollie Raisin, who's actually already asked a question, is getting 2 bangs for his buck, essentially. He asks, do you like big boobs with tiny nipples or small boobs with giant nipples? And Ollie has made the classic mistake of forgetting the third option, which is big boobs with nipples like little boys' willies. Okay, Tally Oliver asks, does chivalry still exist? What is it for? I'm bored of that question, so I'm going to eliminate it. Koln Simponsky. It's not Simponsky, is it? It's Skimskonsky. It's concessions. It's Konskimsky. It's Konskimsky. So Konskimsky asks, his name isn't that. Actually, it's Colin Skimpson. No, it's not. It's Cole Skimpson. No, sorry, it's not. It's Colin Skimpson. It's Colin Skimpskonsky. Colin, right. Koln Simsonsky. We got there in the end. Colin Simsonsky asks, I would like to point out that Colin has asked questions before, and I do actually know his name. I'm sorry if that upset you, Colin. Colin Simsonsky asks, what's the most dangerous thing you've ever done in a field? What's the most dangerous thing I've ever done in a field? Well, I think it's when some gypsy crack dealers that I owed £200,000 to walked me in a field and put a Beretta in my mouth and asked for their money. Essentially, I didn't. The deed wasn't done in the field, but the dangerous thing certainly was. Got away with it though. Asked for more, and they gave it to me. They're still chasing me. Dave Valentine. What a lovely name, Dave Valentine. Everyone's love, everyone's love. Dave asks, do you have a favourite conspiracy theory or theorist? Not theorist, I'd say, but I am obsessed with 9/11 conspiracies. I am. I think it's fair to say something weird happened there. I don't know what. I've tried to look at both sides of the argument, but as someone pointed out to me yesterday, there's zillions of people saying this never happened. You can't do that of a plane. That fuel wouldn't burn metal. There's thermite in the ant's breath in the basement and all that. And there's very few scientists who actually have got the ability to consider these things from a factual viewpoint, but I can watch those things like a drug addict, like I'm jacking up 9/11 conspiracies, and it gets to 4 in the morning and I'm scouring YouTube, please, one more 9/11. And what I don't like about them is when I'm watching one, I'm thinking, wow, I never thought about that. I never thought about that. That's amazing. Wow, I never looked at it. And then suddenly they go, and that's why the lizard's done it. And I'm like, whoa, that escalated a little bit from there must have been secondary explosions to forked tongue reptiles in suits planted eye bombs in the thought chamber of the World Trade Center. So there's your answer. Ollie Raisin, Jesus Christ, man, have you got nothing better to do than ask me questions? Who has the best shaped donger? That's what Ollie Raisin asks. Who has the best shaped donger? I have no idea. Obviously, I have not seen all donger, and I don't think it would be something you could say, because it would be subjective. Someone might like a donger that had a little smiley face embossed on the end. Someone might like one that looked like a doll's leg. What I will tell you is I recently read that the slightly concave top of the human penis glands, that's glands, they said it was scooped shaped like that to help remove the previous sperm in the current vagina it was probing into, which is an unpleasant thought. Benjamin Krelling, the Australian comedian Benjamin Krelling, says, favourite dinosaur that you would like to be? A pterodactyl. Andy Zapp says, do pedos have a mental health problem, or are they just inherently evil people? Andrew, it's a simplistic understanding of paedophilia. Society would have only had to have taken a slight step to the left, and it would have been quite normal. I think you'll find paedophilia historically has been around, going on unlicensed, ungoverned, unquestioned for centuries, and the anti-paedophilia movement is quite recent. That's not to say I think it's a good thing, having personal experience of the dirty fuckers. I'd be quite happy for me to be able to chop his dirty fingers off myself. John Wayne says, depending on the age of them and where they are, it's either a cultural or geographical problem, Andy, which isn't a question, actually, John Wayne. In fact, it's an answer. Get off my timeline, you cunt. Fucking hell, how many questions? Nick Ross says, how do I find the path to Zen? Well, Nick Ross, as you know, Zen is the unbeing of something. It's the not knowing of something. It's like a utopia, isn't it? And if you look at utopia, the word comes from utopos, which means no place. So you're looking for a road to take you to a non-destination. So in answer to your question, how do I find the path to Zen? Stop looking for the path. Tally Oliver, she already asked her. Another one who's trying to get 2 bangs for the buck. Why does mucus... No, people don't hear about that shit on a Sunday afternoon. Neil Wetherill. He says, which name do you prefer, Pol Pot or Saloth Tsar? And do you believe he was good for communism? Obviously not. The Khmer Rouge was an absolute disgrace, and of the communism I've studied, it bears very, very little resemblance beyond a flag with a yellow star. Mark Tibbenham, you've already had a question, but it's a good one. Do you think we should respect the right of people to decide for opposite-sex marriage? If people want to get married, fair play to them, but don't fucking invite me. I've got so much better to do than come and watch your bullshit, tedious ceremony. No thanks. Tim Brennan, my old tutor from art college. I love you, Timothy. He says, What do we do about same-sex wedding cakes in Northern Ireland? Well, any sex that's the same gets boring very quickly. William Van Lurop says, oops, separate us now, eh? Don't know what that means. Mark Stuckey says, are Jammy Dodgers the king of biscuits? Mark, the beauty of a biscuit is you name the king, you shove it in your mouth, and you've crowned it. Okay, everyone, I hope you've enjoyed the podcast. I'm going to go to bed with my diarrhea-encrusted missus. See you later. Much later!